Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office. It is Tuesday morning. It's now the 25th day of November 2025, and this is the morning briefing. Well, what we're dealing with today is, nothing but fog and a pretty low overcast, at least throughout the lower elevations. The higher elevations are going to see another beautiful day. So the question now is, how long is this going to stick around? And is there any chance of any rain in the future? Well, even that is up for grabs. Let me show you what it looks like outside the window here from the home weather office. Yesterday had blue sky. Today, about an hour or so ago, there was fog here. It is lifted somewhat. But here at the home weather office, I'm around 700 feet, 720, something like that. So yesterday, the fog level was lower. The top of the fog deck was around 500 feet. But now, and this is what happens when you get into one of these situations, gradually the inversion gradually builds on itself. So day after day, the fog expands, or at least the low overcast expands, and gradually goes up the hill. So even into parts of the lower foothills that yesterday had sunshine, today will have fog and a low overcast. The top of the deck will break up a little bit, but the lower elevations will stay with it. So let me show you what's happening. This is just classic winter in California. There is the huge area of fog that goes from about Red Bluff all the way down past Bakersfield and into the foothills. A little bit of snow in the Sierra, but it's this upper part of it that we are seeing the areas break out a little bit. And then once you get into the foothills above, let's say 1,500 feet, we have sunshine. And then in the Sierra, nothing but sunshine. But what it takes to break this up is some wind, a storm, something like that to break up the inversion. I'll explain more on that in just a minute. Let me show you what it looks like in Cameron Park. Now, this is from the Z Realty Group. They have sky cams up and down the foothills. So this is actually at as I like to call it, Cameron Park International. That is the runway right there at Cameron Park Airport. And so as you can see, here the visibility does not look great at all. Let's go up to Camino. And here we have sunshine, although it's not a great view of sunshine. Pollock Pines. Yeah, here's blue sky here in Pollock Pines. Placerville has blue sky. Apple Hill would have blue sky. Yeah, look at that at Apple Hill. So if you're driving on Highway 50, coming down the hill, and you're at Apple Hill, and you come down the hill and you get down to Cameron Park, and you would get into this. And then you get down to where I am, down at the home weather office, about another 500 feet lower, and it just looks like a low overcast. So yeah, that's where the upper extent of this is. And don't be surprised if tomorrow it's even a little bit higher up. Yeah, but underneath this, boy, this will erode a little bit in the afternoon, but it's not going to go away completely. And let me show you what it did to the temperatures yesterday. I talked about this, that I'm sure that there were apps that were showing that Sacramento yesterday was going to be 60 or 62, 53 at Executive Airport, 51 at SMF. And you'll also note that look at the high and the low at SMF. A high of 51, a low of 50. And that's what we're going to see today, is the temperature in Sacramento and in Stockton and Modesto and in Marysville may only move 2 degrees throughout the day. If you're under this low overcast, the temperature just won't change. And what we'll likely see in Sacramento is not only will the temperature not change too much, but like I said, yesterday we had a low of 50 and a high of 51. Don't be surprised if that difference comes down a little bit, down to, let's say, 48 to 50. So it will actually get colder because of the lack of sunshine day after day after day. So the question is, when is this going to break up? Oh, let me look at that. Reading, 65. So that's the difference sunshine makes. But yeah, if you're under this fog, it just doesn't. Let me tell you a quick story. Let me digress just a little bit. So the fog can be really tricky. And if you just go by model data, it will spit out that it's going to be 60 degrees today in Sacramento because we're under a ridge of high pressure. And if you just look at a 500 millibar chart, you go, oh yeah, it's going to be great. And I learned about this the first year I was here. I started working at KCRA in November of 1991, in the early part of November. And we got into just about this time of year, it might have been a couple of weeks later, and I had done a weekend shift, a Sunday morning, and I looked at the 500 millibar chart, saw the big ridge. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful week. I think it's forecasting highs of like 65. Monday morning, I watched the news, and the meteorologist then had temperatures in the mid-50s, like a 10-degree drop from what I had. And I thought, what in the world? And of course, it was the fog. And so I didn't realize that you could have the morning fog not burn off. But with the low sun angle at this time of year and no wind, everything just gets trapped. The inversion builds day after day, and the fog just doesn't go away. So yeah, in my first, month basically here, I learned my lesson the hard way by doing a really bad forecast. So yeah, once you see this sort of situation set up, you just wait for something to happen. And it's almost like a heat wave during the summertime where you're waiting on a delta breeze or something to change it. But until that happens, it's not going to change. So here's the way the HRRR shows it today. Now, so this blue area is the overcast, and every now and then you'll see these high clouds go over the top of it. This is this morning. This is the noontime. Again, maybe eroding a little bit. This is all the high thin cloudiness going by overhead. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at Sacramento virtual sounding. All right, here's the inversion. Here's the fog deck right here with the temperature and the dew point close together. So above that, this is the inversion. And then this area here where the lines are a little bit closer together, this is where we're likely seeing those high thin clouds. So when you talk about the inversion and what it takes to have the fog lift, you need some wind. Well, there's really no wind at elevations below 5,000 feet. And when you talk about, mixing, you need to mix the atmosphere up a little bit. Well, remember the old thing, warm air rises, and that's how you get mixing during the course of the day. Because during the day, you would likely see the temperature over here somewhere, or at least over here, and that way the warmer air could rise. Instead, the warmer air is here. The warm air here is rising. Instead, you have this cold air trapped down in here in the fog. And that's at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's a time when you should be seeing, the warming, but that's not the case. So let's go through the night tonight. And as you can see, the fog comes back. That's 4 o'clock in the morning. And then on Wednesday, same thing, the fog erodes a little bit. It's obscured a little bit by these high clouds coming in on Thanksgiving Day. But if you, again, just look at a sounding, you'll see the same thing. The inversion is actually even thicker. You have to go up to around 4,500 feet before you get out of it. And then here's that area of high cloudiness going by and no wind. So what's it going to take to break all of this up? Well, we need a weather system to come by. Here is Wednesday, big ridge. Little system goes by to the north on Thursday night, Friday. Previous model runs have been indicating that might bring us some rain and snow. That's looking less likely with the most recent runs. And then this low out here, it actually digs off the coast, and the most recent runs don't bring us anything in the way of rain. Now, with this sort of north flow developing, we may see the fog finally get scoured out, and I would think that this would do it over the course of the weekend. But that big high keeps us dry. All right, so let's go back to the GFS. And let's go to the state. And let's go to precip. Okay. So we had been talking about the chance of something coming in Friday or Saturday. This is Thanksgiving Day. This is Friday. Nothing. Oop. Let's see. This is the 12Z run. I haven't even looked at this. I'll show you the 6Z run in just a second. This is Saturday. Nothing. Monday. Nothing. Maybe a little bit of snow next Wednesday from that inside slider, colder air. Boy, ugh, that's not good. That's as far out as the 12Z goes right now. But I'll show you the total precipitation. Yeah, that's the total precip through next Wednesday. So we're up to the 3rd of December. No precipitation at all. And if we go back to the 6Z run, which is completely through, and I'll go out to the end here. This is all the way through the 11th of December. And as you can see, no rain, no snow. This is different from previous runs. Let me show you, let's see what last night's run looks like. Yeah, that's a little different, isn't it? So this is last night's run. So this is the GFS out in Fantasyland showing, either no rain or, 3 inches of rain. And so back that up, and I think it was something around the 8th or 9th that it was showing something coming our way. This is the 7th. Yeah. So this is around the 8th, 9th. But then again, like I said, that is that run, and then, that run isn't going to be far enough out. The 6Z run will show that. So we'll go to the 8th and 9th. And as you can see, this run has nothing. So that's rather typical as we get out into Fantasyland. So we're still on the, let's go back to the 12Z run, the most recent run, and see what we have for wind. Let's look at 925 wind, because this is what it's going to take to help scour out some of the fog. This is Thursday. Friday. Finally, here we have some north wind. So this is Saturday. Some north wind coming down the west side of the valley. This might be one of those cases where the west side of the valley clears out, but the east side of the valley and certainly the San Joaquin Valley does not clear out. So this is Saturday morning. Oh. Sunday night, same thing. Man, I don't have much hope for areas south of Modesto to clear out. Boy, I thought we'd be seeing more wind. Here's good offshore wind next week. That would certainly clear out areas like Sacramento. But boy, still not much going on in the San Joaquin. We'll have to see just how long this sticks around. That's a good offshore wind here that would help to keep areas like Sacramento and Stockton fog free. But that's that's going to be the question right now, is how long will this stick around? Areas from Sacramento to the north will have a better chance of clearing out perhaps by Saturday. But once you get south of, let's say, Modesto, these areas may stay socked in. I mean, Fresno may not see the sun for another week or more. But again, these things can be kind of tricky. But there's an old saying in forecasting that persistence is your friend. And in a case like this, persistence is kind of your friend, meaning though it's happening now, it's likely going to happen again over the next couple of days. I think so. There will be day-to-day changes in where the visibility is bad. But in terms of a low overcast, if you're below 500 feet, you're probably not going to see the sun for the next few days, at least. That's everything I've got for you on this Tuesday morning. Getting ahead of myself. Tuesday morning. That's everything I've got for you. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.